This is Elizabeth Woods. I chair the Nursing Practice Committee, and I would like to call the meeting to order and do the roll call. Woods is present. Dolores?
Dolores Trujillo is present. Present. See, I just followed you right along, Betty.
Jovita?
Present.
Jovita?
Jovita's present.
Mary? I think that's all of our members so far. And I guess we need public comment for items not on the agenda for this also. Is that my understanding?
Yes, it is, Betty, as this is a new committee. Thank you.
The comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for a comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Woods, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you. All right, item 7.2, to vote on whether to approve the previous minutes from October 7th, 2021. I move that we approve the minutes. Do I have a second, please?
I'll second you, Betty.
Thank you. So we have to open this up for public comment also, is that my understanding, before we vote?
Yes, that's correct. Every agenda item. Thank you.
Thank you. So if we could open up for public comment, please. Thank you.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Woods, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, thank you, Mark. Okay, we're going to be going on, I guess we'd better do the vote then. Let's do the vote then on whether to approve them. Woods votes yes.
Dolores Trujillo votes yes.
Jovita?
And Mary Fagan, yes.
Jovita, yes.
Thank you. Okay. So the minutes are approved from the meeting of October 7th, 2021. So we'll be going on then to items 7.3 and 7.4, which are informational only. And my understanding, Lori, is that you're going to be updating us on these two items, the Nurse Practitioner Advisory Committee and the Nurse Midwife Advisory Committee.
I will update on the Nurse Practitioner Advisory Committee first, item 7.3, and then with it being informational only, we do not have to have a vote, but we will have to go out to public comment. And once that public comment section closes, then we'll go to item 7.3, and I'll update on the Nurse Midwife Advisory Committee. So the Nurse Practitioner Advisory Committee, they have not met since the last board meeting. The last board meeting was in November, and that is the last time that they met as well. The end of their meeting, they did run out of time and did not get to vote on the calendar for this upcoming year. Therefore, they will attend one committee meeting, which is scheduled for February 8th. And once that committee meeting is scheduled and agendized, they will vote on upcoming calendar dates for the remaining of the year. At that point, once the committee has voted, we will update our website to show the dates of the remaining 3 committee meetings. But currently, right now, there is one committee that is scheduled for February 8th from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock for their next meeting. We will be working with the chair to get an agenda out and publicize that. The only updates that we really have right now, because there was that occurred prior to the last board meeting and now, is that we're continuing to work on the desk audit for a fee structure for the nurse practitioner certificate for independent practice in a private practice setting, which would be the 104 nurse practitioner. And we're also working on a naming convention for that. We hope to have that updated to bring forward to the board to add that into regulation for the February board meeting. So that can just be an update. We can continue to move forward with the rulemaking package. But that is the extent of the updates, as this is kind of an in-between time where there was not a new meeting that was held between board meetings to be updated on. I am available for questions if you have any questions.
Lori, I do have, you mentioned a naming convention. What do you mean by that?
Yes, so right now in the regulatory package that was began by the board in November, they have subsections where they talk about the naming of the 103 NP and the 104 NP. And Heather Hoganson, who you guys met with earlier on the board committee, had mentioned that we will be looking for a naming convention for the 103 nurse practitioner, as well as a naming convention for the 104 nurse practitioner, because the public does not know the difference between a nurse practitioner, a 103 nurse practitioner, and a 104 nurse practitioner, and they don't necessarily understand what the differences are between that. So the naming convention would clearly identify so that the public would know what type of nurse practitioner they are working with. Very similar to the categories of the nurse practitioner, where you would have a pediatric nurse practitioner. That way the public knows that this nurse practitioner specifies and specializes in pediatrics, or a adult general acute care nurse practitioner. Then they would know that that is the focus of that nurse practitioner. So we're looking for something very similar to that to identify the 103 nurse practitioner as well as the 104 nurse practitioner, because 103 and 104 simply refer back to that subsection of the statute that was written with the passing of AB 890.
So will it be naming them and then differentiating between what each one can do and how they are to practice?
No, sorry about that. I'll try to be a little more clear. It is just the naming convention that allows the public to differentiate. The scope of practice for the 103 is already set out in law, and the scope of practice for the 104 is already set out in law. We do not have any authority to change that scope of practice, update it, or provide any additional or deletions to that. Therefore, it is strictly just the naming convention so that the public understands what the scope of practice is for those nurse practitioners who are choosing to follow that transition of practice and gain access to independent practice.
So the public member would have to go back in and look up all the rest of the information around nurse practitioner practice? I guess I'm confused as what, if you're naming something, it's to allow for the public to let them know what that nurse practitioner can do or not do, but that's not what doesn't sound what it's going to be.
The intent is to allow for some clarification. The public does not have any understanding what a 103 NP is
Right.
or what a 104 NP is. And those are the terms that we have been using to refer to the sections of law that define the specific scope of practice for each one of those nurse practitioner types or categories. Therefore, in order to be clear, some of the suggestions, we did a social media outreach. We've also put it out on listserv and asked for some input. And some of the thought is independent nurse practitioner, independent private practice. And so it'd be an NP, IPP. And that would and probably a nurse has the ability to work independently within a private practice setting. And so those are some of the ideas that have been floated around. We did ask out to stakeholders. We asked out for feedback. We have not received much. And we're hoping to get a naming convention that would be presented to our board to vote on for the February board meeting, but we will present it to the Nurse Practitioner Advisory Committee first and get their feedback before bringing it to the board.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Is there any other questions on this specific topic or agenda item, Betty? Or any of the other committee members?
I don't have any questions. Perhaps somebody else does. If not, we can open it to public comment, please.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you, nor give you, nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Scott RN would like to make a comment. 1 second, please. Go ahead.
For Betty and anyone else who may not be clear on the idea behind this naming convention of business, the way I understand it anyway, it's a lot like emergency medical technicians. There's EMT, EMTI for intermediate, and EMTP for paramedic. And the public may not really understand exactly the difference as far as scope of practice among those three, but it does give them the information that there is some kind of difference, and perhaps over time they learn the difference between an EMT and a paramedic. And I think the idea is similar with nurse practitioners. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I just thought I would offer that clarification.
Thank you.
Thank
That
you
was
for your
perfect.
comment.
Thank you.
Committee Chair Woods, there are no other public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please. Thank you. Laura, before we go on, I would like to make a suggestion that at our full board meeting, perhaps the chairs of both the Nurse Practitioner Advisory Committee and the Nurse Midwifery Advisory Committee would come to give a small update as to what is going on in their committees.
I think that's a wonderful suggestion. I will put it out to them, and if they have time available, they will join us. If they do not, I'll have them draft a report that I can present in case they are busy. I do know that both of our chairs of the Nurse Midwife and the Nurse Practitioner Advisory Committee are working NPs and nurse midwives, and they may not always have the time available for our meetings, but that's a great idea. And I will put that out to them as a request, and hopefully they will be able to create time within their schedules to come and present at our board meetings.
No, I do appreciate that they're very busy, but I think it would be good for them to connect with us as the board and for us to meet them and to see where they are with their work. So thank you.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's a wonderful idea. I will do my best to facilitate that, but I did want to give you an option in case they were not able to do that. And what I would get at that point is a report written by them and that I would present for them in the case that they would not be able to attend.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So can we go on then to 7.4, the Nurse Midwifery Advisory Committee update?
I definitely can. The Nurse Midwife Advisory Committee update is very similar to the Nurse Practitioner Advisory Committee update in the fact that they have not met. And there is not much of an update between these board committees as their advisory committee hasn't met. They too are scheduled for a February 8th advisory committee meeting. And their time frame for that starts at 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock. They did have chance to finalize the calendar for the committee meetings for all of 2022 in their meeting, and they did vote for a specific time frame as well. And they voted as long as that they are in a virtual platform that they did want to continue to held them at 9 o'clock until 11 o'clock. And they did solidify their calendar, and those will be posted on our website soon, so that everybody has the ability to see that and prepare and can attend our nurse midwife advisory committees. What did come out, just a reiteration, is that the Nurse Midwifery Advisory Committee voted to not use regulations to clarify any part of the law, as they felt that with the passage of SB 1237, that the statute that came from that was clear. Therefore, they did vote to do a frequently asked questions that may provide additional insight into how that statute affects practice. So they will be working on FAQs. We will get those approved and they will be added to our website. That did take quite a workload off of our BRN staff. We were happy to hear that. They do reserve the right, of course, to pursue regulations at any point if, in fact, it is deemed later that regulations may be needed. The difference between the implementation of AB 890 and the implementation of SB 1237 is that AB 890 had specific language that said the board will make regulation, where SB 1237 did not have that. So the Nurse Midwife Advisory Committee did have the option to maybe not pursue regulation, which is what they did. The next step that they decided as an advisory committee to do is to go through the forms and publications on our website and update them. And they have broke those up into subcommittees, and they are going through them step by step on their advisory committees. So if anybody is interested in that and wants to see what's going on, that is what's happening in our Nurse Midwife Advisory Committee for the foreseeable future, as we update those forms, practice guidelines, and if any of those need to have board approval, we will put them back forward through the board for a final vote. Do you have any questions, Betty, or any of the other committee members?
I don't have any at the moment. Any other members? It doesn't appear.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. So we need to go on then to open to public comment, please.
Yes, please.
We will be opening for public comment now. I will be activating the question and answer feature. Please refer to the screen share for members of the public to see how they should type in their request for comment. I've activated the question and answer feature. Members of the public can indicate that they would like to make a comment by typing into the question box, "I would like to make a comment." Please remember, you will have 2 minutes to make your comments. I will not give a reminder as your time approaches. I do not want to interrupt you nor cause you to lose your train of thought. I will mute your microphone and inform you that your time has expired, and we'll move on to the next member of the public. I'll pause for a moment for members of the public to type in, "I would like to make a comment." Committee Chair Woods, there are no public requests for comment. Would you like me to close this window?
Yes, please, thank you. All right, I think we have completed everything. This section. So I would like to adjourn this part of the meeting.
Thank you, Betty. Before we move on to ELC, I would like to propose a 15-minute break before we get started on ELC. So we would come back. We would come back at 10:40.
10:40?
10:40.
Sounds great.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
See you soon.
We will take a break in 15 minutes, be back at 10:40 to begin the Education Licensing Committee meeting.